Exposed, on her 30th birthday, she discovered her millionaire husband's heartbreaking secret. Emily sat in her beautifully decorated living room, surrounded by her friends and family, the warm glow of twinkling fairy lights bathing everyone in a soft, dreamy light. The sweet scent of vanilla cake filled the air, and laughter echoed off the walls of their cozy Maplewood home. Today was her big 3-0, and as her husband Jack grinned at her from across the room, she couldn't help but feel an overwhelming sense of love and accomplishment. They had built a life together, a charming home, a tight-knit community full of support, and dreams they believed they were chasing hand in hand. But as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the floor, an unexpected envelope slid discreetly through their mail slot, igniting a storm that would change everything. The envelope was ordinary, but inside, Emily found a bank statement that whispered secrets she never wanted to hear. The figures on the page screamed at her a $1 million fortune Jack had amassed through shady business dealings that preyed on struggling families in their beloved Maplewood. A tightness gripped her chest, and the room began to spin. Their lives, built on trust and shared dreams, now felt like a mirage dissolving in the fading light. Whispers of disbelief echoed in her mind, drowning out the laughter outside. This wasn't the American dream she believed in. How could he betray their very values? She confronted Jack, her voice shaking, tears pooling in her eyes. How could you do this? The pain laced her words, each syllable heavy with disillusionment. Jack opened his mouth to defend himself, but the hurt in her heart drowned out whatever excuses he had. This wasn't just about money, it was about trust, the very foundation of their love. The conflict was unbearable. Their marriage, once a beacon of hope, felt encased in deceit. As their reality started to unravel, the friendly faces of Maplewood transformed into judging ones, sending an air of shame swirling around her. In the days before her birthday, Emily tried to silence the truth, believing that love could overcome anything. But with each passing hour, the pressure mounted, the walls of her once happy existence closing in. The party her friends had planned was beautiful, full of love and laughter, yet she felt hollow. The cake, the balloons, the smiles all stifled her, weighed down by her secret. She watched as her friends toasted to her health, gratuitously praising Jack's efforts, and inside, she felt a betrayal deeper than any mere secret. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. She could feel the weight of her decision pressing down on her. Could she live in this fantasy world of smiles while the truth loomed like a dark cloud over her? The pain was nearly unbearable. As her friends cheered and sang, celebrating the life they thought she lived, Emily realized that true love couldn't be built on lies. It wasn't enough to ignore the truth. She needed to confront Jack, to stand up not just for herself, but for the families he hurt, a community she cherished. With her heart racing, she stepped into the room filled with friends, shattering the facade. As they all turned to her, waiting for her next words, she stood at a crossroads, knowing her words could change everything. Would she find the courage to speak the truth, as the tension hung heavily in the air? In that moment, Emily was ready to unleash a storm, a reckoning that could shatter not only her world but the life they had both built together. The question loomed, would love survive when the truth threatened to dismantle everything they thought they knew? Emily took a deep breath, her chest tightening under the weight of everyone's expectant gaze. The voices faded into a low hum, and all she could hear was the pounding of her heart. The room felt both impossibly small and overwhelmingly large. She glanced at Jack, whose smile began to waver under the strain of her silence. The words teetered on the edge of her lips, begging for release. She knew she couldn't delay any longer. Not for herself. Not for the families her husband had betrayed. Jack, she started, her voice trembling. We need to talk. Her heart raced as she continued, about your business dealings, about the money. A flicker of concern crossed Jack's face. What about them? He asked, but she could hear the nervous edge in his tone. It was a voice she had come to recognize, one that always played the part of the charmer hiding shadows. Those families, Jack. You're taking from people who are struggling to get by. The words spilled out, fueled by a mix of anger and heartbreak. I found the bank statement. You can't just sit there and act like everything is fine. The room fell silent. The laughter and joy that filled the air seconds before evaporated. Friends exchanged worried glances, the cheerful atmosphere morphing into an uneasy tension. Emily watched as Jack's face drained of color. He opened his mouth, yet no words came out. Emily, please, he finally managed, his voice low and shaky. Listen, let me explain. But she wouldn't let him. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. It was more than a moment of weakness. No. You need to understand that I can't let this slide. You can't expect me to ignore it just because we're married. You've been lying to me, to everyone. She felt a weight lift from her shoulders, even as fear threatened to consume her. The truth hung in the air, thick and awkward, but there was also a flicker of clarity. Jack stepped closer to her, desperation pulling at his features. But it was for us, for our future. I thought what? Emily interrupted, her voice rising. That I wouldn't care how you got your money? You have to understand, this isn't just a betrayal to me. It's a betrayal to the community we cherish. There was a moment of silence, a collective intake of breath. Friends who had once clapped and cheered now absorbed the truth she had poured out. She could feel the heat of their gazes, the judgment she had feared but finally met head-on. I loved you, Emily. I never meant to hurt you, Jack said softly, his eyes pleading. The pain that echoed in his voice was undeniable, but it wasn't enough. Love isn't enough if it's built on lies, she shot back, her heart aching with each word. You've hurt me and so many others. As tears streamed down her cheeks, a weight lifted from her soul. She had stepped into the light, finally confronting the shadows that had clouded her vision for too long. But as she held Jack's gaze, questions began to swirl in her mind. What would happen next? Would Jack fight for their love, or would this revelation shatter the life they had built together? Her mind raced with the possibilities as she took a step back, ready to let the consequences unfold. And as the weight of uncertainty settled around them, she could feel the gravity of her decision pull her deeper into the unknown. Emily, please talk to me, Jack pleaded, reaching for her, but she resisted. Jack, I need time, she whispered, her voice barely above a breath. This isn't over. She knew that they stood on the brink of a new chapter, one that would redefine everything. She turned to her friends, conflicted emotions swirling in the air. There was a reckoning coming, but would it lead to reconciliation or a definitive end? As she took a deep breath, steadying herself amidst the storm, the words echoing in her mind loomed larger than life. What would be the true cost of love laid bare? Emily's heart raced as she watched Jack struggle to find the right words. The silence stretched, thick with unspoken pain and uncertainty. She felt as if the floor beneath them might give way at any moment. Friends stood frozen in place, their expressions ranging from concern to disbelief. Emily, Jack finally said, his voice cracking, I need you to understand. I thought all this would pay off in the end. I was trying to build something for us, something that would set us free. But at what cost, Jack? Emily shot back, her voice trembling but fierce. You hurt people. You destroyed lives. And you think that's okay? You built this dream on the back of others' pain. She couldn't believe the choices he had made, or how easily he had justifying them. Her heart ached with every word she spoke, every truth that spilled from her lips. You don't get it, Jack pressed, stepping closer, desperation etched in his features. I was scared. Scared of losing everything. I thought. Thought what? She interrupted, feeling the adrenaline course through her body. That money could erase the hurt? That you could manipulate people as long as we had a nice house and fancy dinners? It's wrong, Jack. She watched the flicker of hurt in his eyes, but she stood her ground. Emily, please. He started, but she shook her head. This wasn't the time for empty reassurances. Stop. Just stop. She wanted to scream but instead managed a whisper that pierced the heavy silence. You're breaking me, Jack. As she stepped away, taking a breath of cool air that felt charged with tension, she felt the weight of judgment from their friends, a blend of pity and shock looming overhead. In that moment, she realized that her chains were breaking, the familiar feeling of confinement unlike anything she had ever experienced before. But with freedom came uncertainty, and with uncertainty came fear. I need to think, she murmured, her eyes searching his for any glimmer of the man she once knew. I can't keep pretending everything is fine when it's not. Jack's face fell, and she noticed how age lines deepened in the corners of his eyes. Pain betrayed his youth. The man who had once promised her a life filled with love and laughter now looked as if he had aged a decade in seconds. Don't do this, Emily, he whispered earnestly. Do what? She took a shaky breath, the answer clawing at her throat. Do the right thing? Tell the truth? Or do you mean leave? Because that seems to be what you've done all along. She could see the truth crashing down around them, but the reality was suffocating. As the weight of the moment pressed down, Emily felt like a tightrope walker with no net below. With one last look, she turned away, her friends now encircling her, their silent support palpable. She could feel the warmth radiating from their presence, a sanctuary amid a storm of emotions, and in that fragile moment, Emily found a flicker of resolve. She might not know where this would lead, but she wouldn't run from the truth any longer. When she turned back toward Jack, it was with a strength she didn't yet feel. Jack, I need you to stand on your own, she said, her voice steady despite the chaos brewing inside her. This isn't just about us. It's about everyone you've affected. I can't. I won't be a part of this anymore unless you face what you've done. His expression twisted, a mix of fear and dawning realization. Emily, he started, but she held up a hand to silence him. Don't. Just don't. Her gaze softened, and in that moment she felt something stir inside her, something hopeful yet terrifying. A future unbounded by the shadows of his past loomed ahead. Every heartbeat seemed to echo the question, could they rebuild, or was this truly the end? Before she could think too much, she stepped out of the circle of their friends, urgency propelling her forward. Somewhere in this chaos, someone needed to be held accountable. Emily! Jack called, desperation leaking through. But instead of looking back, she took another deep breath and stepped out of the room, feeling the door close behind her like the end of one chapter, and the beginning of another. What lay ahead was unknown, but Emily knew she had to find the truth, not just for herself but for everyone Jack had deceived. And as the door clicked shut, she wondered if she had the courage to seek it out. What if the answers she found changed everything forever? The night air was crisp as Emily stepped outside, the coolness wrapping around her like a breath of fresh clarity. She inhaled deeply, hoping to steady the whirlwind inside her. Her heart pounded, echoing the uncertainty of her next move. With every second, the gravity of her situation settled heavier on her shoulders. She couldn't shake Jack's haunted expression from her mind. It was a mixture of regret and a deep fear of losing her. Are you okay? Asked Sarah, her voice soft yet insistent. She was right beside Emily, her concerned eyes searching for any sign of hope or reassurance. Emily looked out into the dark, uncertain of what to say. I just need to think, she finally replied, her voice breaking slightly. Take your time, Em. We're here for you, Sarah said, squeezing her hand. Emily felt gratitude wash over her, the warmth of her friend a small comfort in a storm of emotions. A few others joined Sarah, forming a protective barrier around Emily, their solidarity a stark contrast to the tumult she had just left inside. As they stood there, Emily's thoughts drifted like leaves caught in a sudden gust. She was angry. Angry at Jack for the lies, at herself for the comfort she had taken in the illusion he had created. The life they built felt like a house of cards, ready to tumble with the slightest touch. But then, another feeling twisted in her stomach, a sense of loss for the dream she thought they had been constructing together. What if I knew about all of this sooner? She whispered to herself, the words barely escaping her lips. What would change? Her friends exchanged uneasy glances, sensing the gravity of her words. You can't change what has already happened, Emily, Derek said, his voice firm but compassionate. You can only decide what to do next. She nodded, each word resonating in her mind like a mantra. But how could she put one foot in front of the other when the ground felt so unsteady? What did she even want now? The vibrant lights from nearby houses flickered in the distance, and for a split second, she thought of turning back. But deep down, she understood returning to Jack wouldn't fix anything. The facade had to come down, or they would both remain trapped in a cycle of pain. I think I need to talk to someone, she blurted out, surprising even herself. The statement hung in the air, bold and shocking. Who? Sarah asked, tilting her head. Someone who knows what really happened. Someone who can help me find the truth behind Jack's decisions, Emily said, her voice gaining strength. I can't just ignore this. Not anymore. What was it inside her that was changing? Was it the realization of her own power? The strength she hadn't known was there? I'll help you, Sarah said, determination lighting up her eyes. The group rallied around her, offering their support in solid, comforting ways. They were ready to be her allies in whatever this journey would bring. As they discussed potential contacts, Emily felt the weight of fear still clutching at her heart but mingled with a spark of excitement. This could lead her to answers not just about Jack, but about herself and what she truly wanted in life. But before the excitement could settle, a new thought crossed her mind, pulling at the corners of her consciousness. What if the truth she sought would ultimately shatter her even more? What if it tore apart everything she thought she knew? Emily, what if you uncover something that changes everything? Sarah's voice cut through her reverie, voicing the doubt that lingered just below the surface. With a heavy sigh, Emily met her friend's eyes, understanding their unspoken questions mirroring her own. She knew she would have to confront whatever lay ahead. Then, she said, her lips parting in a determined line, I'll face it. Together. As they prepared to take the next step, Emily felt her breath hitch, a combination of fear and exhilaration coursing through her. She couldn't shake the feeling that the journey would shake her foundations and perhaps unearth truths far darker than Jack's misdeeds. Just what kind of secrets would she uncover, and would she be ready to face the impact they would have on her life? Emily stood at the edge of the familiar street, her pulse racing with the thrill of the unknown. The cool air wrapped around her like an embrace, but it could not shield her from the impending confrontation. She glanced at her friends, their faces a chaos of concern and determination that mirrored her own turmoil. What was she truly seeking? Closure? Clarity? A chance at redemption? As they walked down the dimly lit street, Sarah leaned closer. Where do we start? She asked, her voice steady but laced with a hint of nervousness. Emily took a deep breath, the weight of her decision settling in. We're going to talk to Mia. She used to be close to Jack before. Everything changed. If anyone knows about his past, it's her. Are you sure she'll be willing to talk? Derek questioned, ever cautious. She has been through her own storms. If anyone can understand, it's her, Emily replied, firmer than she felt. The thought of reaching out to Mia was intimidating. The last time they'd spoken, it hadn't ended well. But she needed answers, and the last person she could afford to ignore was Mia. With each step toward Mia's apartment, Emily fought against the knot in her stomach. Not only was she confronting Jack's secret, but she was also stepping into a confrontation that might unravel the threads of her past. Sarah and Derek flanked her, their silent support a lifeline against her rising dread. When they finally reached her building, Emily paused outside the door. Her heart raced, a steady drum echoing her anxiety. What if she won't see me? What if she just slams the door in my face? We'll figure it out. Just be honest, Sarah encouraged, giving her a gentle nudge. You deserve the truth, Em. Gathering her courage, Emily knocked softly but firmly. The sound echoed in the stillness like a freight train barreling toward her heart. Moments felt like hours, and just as she contemplated turning away, the door creaked open. Mia stood before them, her expression a mixture of surprise and suspicion. What are you doing here? Can we talk? Emily asked, her voice shaky yet resolute. Mia scrutinized her for a long moment, then stepped aside, gesturing for them to enter. The atmosphere in the small apartment was heavy with unspoken words and past grievances. Emily took a seat on the edge of the couch, just as she had years before, but everything felt different now, so much heavier. I'm not here to rehash the past, Emily began, her voice thick with emotion. I need to know about Jack's past. There's something he's not telling me, and I need to understand. Mia's expression softened, yet the tension lingered like a drawn bowstring. Why now? Because I can't live like this anymore. I can't pretend everything is fine when I know it's not, Emily replied, her voice steadying with conviction. Mia sighed, the lines on her face deepening with the weight of revelation. Fine. But it's not as simple as you think. Just as Mia began to speak, a loud crash echoed from the kitchen, causing them all to jump. What was that? Derek exclaimed, springing up. Emily's heart raced again, but panic twisted through her as she considered the implications. Had someone else entered the apartment? Was it Jack, or someone else exposed to the secrets that threatened to unravel her world? Stay here, Sarah urged, instinctively protective, and moved toward the source of the sound. No! We need to hear this. Emily insisted, desperation threatening her composure. Mia looked between them, uncertainty flashing in her eyes. You don't understand. If he finds out. But before she could finish, the door slammed open, and a figure appeared, casting a shadow that filled the room with dread. Emily! Jack's voice boomed, cutting through the tension like a knife. In that moment, everything hung in the balance. Would she finally learn the truth, or was she about to step deeper into chaos? Jack, what are you doing here? Emily breathed, her body stiffening with a mix of anxiety and resolve. But even as she stood there, heart pounding, she couldn't shake the feeling that this confrontation could change everything. Perhaps for all of them. What secrets lay in wait, and would she have the strength to face them? Jack took a step forward, his eyes darting between Emily, Mia, and their shared history hanging in the air like a storm cloud. A mixture of anger and fear danced across his features. Emily could feel the tension electrifying the room, tightening around her like a noose. Why are you here, Jack? Emily asked, trying to keep her voice steady despite the turmoil within. She needed answers, but part of her was terrified of what they might be. I wasn't going to let you go digging into my past without me knowing, he shot back, voice rising. It was clear he was on edge. The shadows under his eyes told her he hadn't slept well, if at all. What's this really about, Emily? Do you want to relive old mistakes? She shook her head, her heart pounding. No, I don't want to relive anything. I want to move forward, but I can't do that without understanding the truth. Mia stood silently between them, tension radiating off her like heat. She had betrayed Jack by allowing Emily to come here. But Emily had been taking the leaps for years, feeling the weight of a particularly heavy secret looming over her relationship with Jack. Don't you dare drag Mia into this! Jack snapped, his voice low and menacing. You don't know what you're getting into. Emily felt a surge of indignation. You think I'm scared of your past? You've kept me at arm's length, Jack. I deserve the truth. Her voice cracked at the end, raw and emotional. He ran a hand through his hair in frustration. Fine. If you think knowing my past will give you peace, then let us just say it 1T. It'll just complicate things even more. Complicate things how? She pressed, desperation edging her tone. She could sense Mia's discomfort, but for once, she couldn't back down. Whatever Jack had to say could either shatter their fragile relationship or lay the groundwork for something real. Jack's eyes softened momentarily, revealing a flicker of vulnerability, then hardened again. I've made mistakes, huge ones. I did things I regret. That's what you'll find out. It's all intertwined. Emily felt a rush of fear run through her, both for him and for herself. What do you mean, intertwined? Just that, things aren't what they seem. The truth can hurt more than a lie, he said, almost pleading with her to understand why he hadn't shared. We deserve to know. Sarah, who had stood quietly watching all of this unfold, finally spoke up. You can't just walk in here, Jack, and act like these decisions don't affect everyone. You owe it to Emily to be honest. Jack's expression shifted as he faced Sarah, as if he was actually processing her words. But there's only so long they could dance around the truth. Are you ready for the truth, Emily? He asked suddenly, his demeanor flipping from defensive to almost somber, leaving Emily feeling exposed. Can you handle it? A chill ran down her spine. Would she truly be prepared for whatever darkness lay hidden behind Jack's charm? I think I have to, she whispered, tears stinging her eyes. I don't know if you're strong enough, Jack said, his eyes searching hers, filled with worry. What do you mean by that? Emily asked, her voice trembling. I mean, once this is out in the open, he hesitated, barely able to finish. You can't unhear it. The weight of his words hung heavy, suffocating the air between them. Would his admission shatter what they had? Or could it somehow set them free? But before Emily could voice her thoughts, a sudden crash echoed once more from the kitchen, followed by an oddly familiar voice. What's going on in here? Emily's stomach dropped. Just as things were about to unravel, the door swung open, revealing an unexpected and unwelcome surprise. Jack's older brother, Ethan, with an unsettling expression that suggested he had caught wind of this storm. What is happening? Ethan repeated, confusion clouding his features. In that moment, everything changed. Secrets layered upon secrets were stirring to the surface. Would Jack be forced to confront his demons now, or would Ethan's arrival derail their chance at the truth? Ethan stepped into the room, and time seemed to freeze. Emily felt the weight of his gaze, a mix of concern and curiosity that intensified the already taut atmosphere. Jack's body went rigid beside her. The very air crackled with unspoken histories and emotions. What's going on? Ethan pressed again, closer now, eyes flitting between Jack and Emily. I could hear you guys arguing. Just catching up, Jack muttered, his voice clipped and defensive. Emily swallowed hard. This wasn't just a conversation anymore, it was a standoff. She glanced at Mia, whose expression mirrored her own unease. They had been skating on thin ice, and one wrong move could send them tumbling. Ethan, ever perceptive, narrowed his eyes. You're not here for just a friendly chat, are you? I'm here for the truth, Emily interjected, her voice shaking but resolute. Saying it out loud gave her strength. Jack knows what I'm talking about. Does he? Ethan's gaze shifted back to Jack, a silent challenge hanging in the air. Jack was tense, fighting an internal battle. It's not that simple, he said slowly, each word carefully chosen as if they were fragile. There are things that happened. Ethan crossed his arms, his frown deepening. Then spit it out. What are you holding back, Jack? Is it about Emily? Or is it about something else? Everyone held their breath, the room thick with suspense. Jack shifted nervously, a flicker of hesitation crossing his face. Emily felt a knot in her stomach. She was teetering on the edge of a revelation, but was it one she truly wanted to fall into? Maybe we should all just take a step back, Mia suggested softly, breaking the charged silence. We could know, Jack cut in sharply, his voice rising again. No more running from this. Emily deserves to know who she's with. Ethan straightened, surprised. Then tell her. Don't make this harder than it already is, he urged. Jack took a deep breath, and Emily could see him fighting with himself. There are things about my past, things that relate to both of you. Things I was trying to protect. Her heart raced. The shadows of anticipation turned to fears she had buried deep. Protect me from what? She pressed, desperation lacing her tone. From me, Jack admitted, his voice low and filled with regret. I hurt people. I hurt you, Emily. And I don't want you to carry the weight of that. Stop! Emily shouted, panic surging as tears welled in her eyes. Please, just tell me. The room fell silent, hearts pounding in unison. I'll tell you everything, Jack promised, his voice barely above a whisper. But you need to brace yourself. Brace myself for what? Jack glanced at Ethan, whose tense posture showed he too was bracing for impact. The truth was a tidal wave on the brink of crashing, and Emily found herself standing at the edge of it, feet planted firmly but heart racing. "Emily, my mistakes they involve Mia," Jack said, the words spilling forth like shattered glass. "There's a reason we've kept her close." Emily's heart plummeted. "What does that even mean?" Before Jack could answer, a sound echoed from the hallway, a banging noise followed by hurried footsteps. A voice that cut through the tension like a knife called out, "Jack? Who is that?" Mia asked, wide-eyed, her fear palpable. Jack exchanged a frantic glance with Ethan, and in that moment, a new fear emerged within Emily. Could what was about to unfold be more devastating than the truth they were already grappling with? The door swung open to reveal someone she never expected. As she took in the sight of the intruder, a chilling realization settled over her like a dark cloud, filling her with dread for what was about to come. What secrets were still left to uncover? The door swung open, revealing a tall figure dressed in all black, face shadowed beneath the brim of a wide hat. Emily held her breath, her heart racing as recognition clawed at her. She had seen that stance, those piercing blue eyes, a ghost from the past she thought she had left behind. "Rachel?" Jack's voice trembled, disbelief etched across his features. "Surprise!" Rachel exclaimed, her voice heavy with mock enthusiasm. "Miss me?" A chill spread through the room. Emily's emotions surged to the surface, confusion mixing violently with the hurt they had been unraveling. As Rachel stepped inside, the atmosphere thickened with an uninvited tension, as if the walls themselves were pressing in. "Why are you here?" Jack demanded, his tone sharp as glass. "Nice to see you too, Jack. It's been a while." She suppressed a smirk, reveling in the chaos she sparked. "I came to see how my favorite ex is doing. Don't fall for it," Emily thought, fury rising. She could feel Mia's eyes darting between her and Jack, uncertainty buzzing like electricity in the air. "I don't want anything to do with you," Jack growled, but there was a flicker of something. Fear? Guilt? That he couldn't suppress. "Oh, but you already do. And it seems like you're quite comfortable keeping secrets," Rachel retorted, glancing at Emily like a predator assessing its prey. "I know all about your little trips down memory lane." "Shut up!" Jack shouted, trying to hold the spiraling situation in check. Emily felt nauseous. Here she stood, stuck at the intersection of revelations and lies. "What do you mean?" she questioned Rachel, anger sharpening her words. "What secrets?" Rachel tilted her head, savoring the moment. "Let us just say, Jack's past isn't as clean as you think. You really want to trust him with everything? You should know what he's hiding." "Stop this." Jack's voice was strained, but Emily felt the truth looming. "No, I need to understand," she insisted, her pulse racing. "Tell me what you know." With a sly smile, Rachel took a step closer, her tone dripping with sarcasm. "Oh, it's much juicier than you think, dear." She eyed Mia. "You should really ask about the time Jack kept a few too many friends, or shall I say, enemies." Confusion twisted in Emily's stomach. She looked at Jack. His expression was a battlefield of panic and regret. "What is she talking about?" she whispered, shock coursing through her. "Nothing," Jack said, but his voice cracked. "She's lying." Rachel laughed, the sound cold and hollow. "Is that what you want her to believe? Or is it you who can't face what you've done? The people you've hurt along the way? Don't listen to her," Jack shouted, desperation creeping into his voice. Emily's mind raced. She felt herself unearthing memories she thought forgotten, conversations whispered in the dark about friends gone wrong, friendships that had slipped through the cracks. "What people?" she pressed, her voice quaking with betrayal. "Is this about Mia? What did you do that night?" Jack's eyes flashed, desperation morphing into something else. "Emily, it wasn't supposed to come to this. I wanted to protect you." "Protect me?" she echoed, incredulous. "From the truth?" Rachel stepped between them, like a serpent coiled to strike. "Guess what? The truth is about to come crashing down." And in that moment, Emily realized they were all caught in a web of deception much larger than her own pain. Was she ready to face it? A heavy silence fell in the room, and the air was thick with anticipation. Jack's gaze was pleading, but Rachel stood firm, a smirk on her lips. What lay ahead was a storm of reckoning, and she could feel the very ground trembling beneath her. But were the truths worth facing? Just then, another sound broke through the tension, not the footsteps of the past but something far more disheartening. The unmistakable sound of sobbing from the hallway. The sobbing grew louder, slicing through the tension like a knife. Emily's heart lurched as she turned toward the source of the sound, her mind racing with dread. Was it Mia? Did she hear everything? Stay here, Jack said, his voice a mix of panic and authority. He rushed out of the room, leaving a charged silence behind. Emily could barely process the whirlwind of emotions flickering in the room. Rachel's smirk had vanished, replaced by a look of genuine interest, the predator now sniffing out fresh prey. Emily's instincts screamed at her. There was a darkness surrounding Jack's past, and she had a sinking feeling that Rachel was only scratching the surface. What do you want from him? Emily hissed, trying to keep her voice steady. What more could you possibly gain from this? Rachel chuckled, her icy demeanor returning. Oh, sweetie, it's not about what I want. It's about what I know. And you, darling, are just a puzzle piece in Jack's messy life. He thinks he can protect you, but everyone has a breaking point. Frustration bubbled inside Emily. You think this is funny? You're tearing apart people's lives for what? A cheap thrill? Rachel stepped closer, invading Emily's space. You don't get it, do you? This is about survival. This whole charade, pretending like everything is perfect when in reality, it's just a thin veil over chaos. You're lucky to be part of a show, even if you don't know your part yet. Cut the theatrics. Emily shouted, her voice trembling. Just then, another sob echoed from the hallway, sharper, more heart-wrenching. It was impossible to ignore. Jack re-entered the room, his face pale, panic firmly planted in his eyes as he looked between Emily and Rachel. It's Mia. She's upset. Emily's stomach dropped. Is she okay? I'm not sure, Jack said, his voice faltering. I think she heard no, Rachel said, a gleam in her eye like she had won a victory. This is perfect. Let us all go see how your precious friend is doing. I bet she has some interesting things to say. Shut up, Rachel, Jack snapped. You're not helping. But Rachel simply shrugged, a corner of her mouth lifting in a mocking smile. Just think, Jack. What if Mia knows more than she should? What if she remembers things you want to keep buried? The truth has a way of crawling back, no matter how deep you bury it. Fear gripped Emily's heart. What kind of monster had been hiding in Jack's past? What if Rachel was right? What if it all came crashing down? We can't let Mia go on like this, Emily finally said, forcing herself to focus. We need to check on her. Now. As the three of them walked toward the hallway, the sobs grew quieter, replaced by an unsettling silence. Each step felt weighted with the unspoken truths that lingered just out of reach. Once they reached the door, Jack paused, his hand lingering on the doorknob, uncertainty etched in his features. Are you ready? Emily inhaled deeply, feeling the heaviness settle around them. Whatever awaited beyond that doorway felt insurmountable, but she knew one thing, they had to confront it, together. With a push, Jack opened the door. The sight that met them froze Emily in place. Mia sat on the floor, her back against the bed, tears streaming down her cheeks. But it wasn't just sorrow etched on her face. It was confusion, fear, and something darker lurking in her eyes. Mia. Emily reached out, yet before she could comfort her friend, Mia looked up, her expression shifting abruptly. I don't know how to say this, but I saw something. I saw something that changes everything. Emily's heart raced in her chest. What did she see? What could unravel next? Mia looked terrified, and Emily couldn't help but wonder, were they about to descend deeper into this storm than they had ever wanted? The air was thick with urgency as Mia's words sent shockwaves through the room. What did you see? Emily asked, her voice barely a whisper as she fought against the tide of fears swelling inside her. "I saw something the night everything changed between Jack and me," Mia stammered, her eyes wide, glistening with tears as she spoke. Each word seemed to hover, pregnant with meaning. "It has to do with the business he's been running, the risk he took to secure it." Jack's face turned a ghostly shade. He stood silent, frozen in place, betrayed by the very foundation he had built their lives upon. "No," he said, shaking his head frantically. "Mia, don't." Emily stepped closer, determination bolstering her voice against the tide of chaos. "Mia, please tell us everything." Mia took a shaky breath, trying to steady herself. I saw him hurt people who couldn't afford to lose anything. I thought maybe he could change. He has the chance to make it right, but he's too wrapped up in his expansion. You deserve to know, Emily." Jack's anguish was palpable as he stepped toward her, desperation written all over his face. "You don't understand. I was trying to protect you both. I was trying to build a future without dragging you into the muck of this business. By lying? By destroying lives?" Emily felt the heat rise in her chest as the truth collided with her emotions. "You failed to protect us. You can't shield us from the consequences of your actions." A silence enveloped them, but it shattered like glass as Rachel leaned in, her devious smile resurfacing. "You see? The truth will always claw its way to the surface. Jack's past will drown him. And you, Emily, will get swept away if you hold on." Emily shot daggers at Rachel, furious at her portrayals. "You think this is a game? Power over people's lives isn't a laughing matter." Jack spoke again, his voice a hollow echo. "I wanted to build something for us. I truly thought," he faltered, unable to finish. "You thought what? That greed would pave the way to our happiness?" Emily's heart raced. Jack's dreams crumbled at her feet, exposing not just his secrets, but their relationship as fragility. "Can't you see? This isn't about just you anymore. It's about the lives you've broken." Tension lay like a taut wire between them, fraying but not snapping. Jack's eyes softened, tears now brimming as he looked around. "I love you, Emily. I do. But love can only fix so much." "What you call love feels more like a prison," she replied, her heart aching for the man she had once adored, but now felt lost in shadows. "If you love me, you need to face your actions head on. No more lies." Mia interjected, her voice steadying. "We're standing here waiting for a confession. Something needs to give before we all fall apart." Tears streamed down Mia's cheeks as she added, "I never wanted to see us unravel like this. I want you to heal, Jack." Jack inhaled sharply, as if awakening from a slumber. "You're right." His voice was raw as he turned back to Emily, his chest heaving, the fear of exposure palpable. "I've been protecting my image instead of the truth. I never wanted to lose you, but I did lose myself, so far from who I wanted to be." The warmth of vulnerability sparked a flicker of hope inside Emily. "Then be honest," she urged gently. "Let yourself be the man I know you can be. Tell me everything." Jack swallowed hard, battling the weight of shame in a desperate attempt for redemption. "Okay, but know that it involves everything I've built. The operations I ran, they're all intertwined with people in need." He took a step closer, his voice barely above a whisper, as if admitting the ultimate truth could shatter everything. "I was part of a scheme. I thought it was a way to succeed, not realizing how far I'd fall." Mia's hand flew to her mouth, and Emily felt the ground begin to tremble beneath them. The revelation was fierce and fast, but that storm they all feared could also clear the path for something stronger. "Are you ready for what's next?" Mia's question hung in the air, pulsating with urgency. Rachel's wicked smile faltered, the gravity of the revelations threatening to consume her edge. Would they leave with their hearts heavy or their heads held high? Jack's trembling gaze lingered on Emily, and she could see the flicker of accountability rising like a spark igniting a flame. "I'll face the consequences. I need to own my mistakes if I want to rebuild. If I want to be with you." Emily felt her pulse steadying, hope unfurling against all odds amidst each revelation. This is a journey, Jack. We may not find the answers tonight, but there's strength in facing the truth together. With newfound resolve, they took a collective breath, united against the tides of their past. As they prepared to navigate the chaos ahead, Emily realized they could redefine love beyond lies. Each breath filled their hearts with courage. The truth, spoken starkly, was now their light against the encroaching shadows. "I'm not leaving you in the dark again," Emily promised softly, stepping closer to Jack, her heart radiating warmth. The rocks in the path were sharp and dangerous, but together, they could conquer anything life threw their way. With hand in hand, they stepped away from the past, ready to embark on the new chapter that lay ahead, filled with truth, honesty, and finally, a chance at true healing. As they faced the uncertainty, the unseen road stretched long ahead, filled with both peril and promise. The weight of their truths took flight. The journey was just beginning, but they knew together they could find a way to overcome. This was the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support really makes a difference. Comment below with your thoughts and feelings about this heavy yet transformative end. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share.